Hello everyone, ZX² here. Bungie just released the TWAB for today, and there's a few interesting things in it, but the thing I just want to go over is that they've announced what the seasonal artifact mods are going to be. A few weeks back they did announce that the seasonal artifact mods are changing, and that they're just going to be a passive buff rather than being slotted into armor as they have been in the past. Looking through in column 1, we have all of our different champion mods. We have, for barrier, sidearms and pulse rifles. For overload, we have bows, auto rifles, and SMGs. And then for unstoppables, we have scout rifles. And further down in column 5, you can see that we also have glaives for unstoppable. On top of that, we have sword for overload, which is a little bit interesting. I'm not sure we've had overload swords, at least in quite a while. On top of that, all of these mods give these weapons the overcharge effect that they talked about on Tuesday when you have this mod equipped, and that modifier is active. Continuing on to column 2, we have a number of authorized mods which make it so that the armor energy costs of all of the armor mods of certain types, so for example solar, strand, void, and grenades, are reduced. And then finally, the last mod in column 2 is a multi-siphon mod, which grants access to armor mods in your helmet that combine the effects of the strand siphon mod with the solar siphon mod and the void siphon mods. These mods currently create an orb of power when you get certain kills with certain weapon types, so combining them together should be really, really strong next season. In column 3, we have some really interesting things going. We have shatter orbs, which makes it so that you get an orb of power whenever you break a shield with a matching damage type. This is going to be a great way to create orbs of power in a system where it is moderately difficult to do sometimes. Defiant Armory will greatly improve the benefit provided by Noble Deeds, Nanotech Tracer Rockets, Tech's Balanced Stock, and Ambush Origin traits. The Nanotech Tracer Rockets is the one that seems the most interesting to me. That and Noble Deeds are both new origin traits being introduced next season, but the Nanotech Tracer Rocket seems like it could be something. This could be similar to Gallarhorn and how it creates the Wolfpack rounds whenever it fires a shot. Untangler is whenever you destroy a tangle with a strand weapon, it suspends targets damaged by the explosion. I expect this to work really well on Titans, where you can destroy a tangle, suspend the nearby targets, and get woven mail all at once. Solar Surge gives you a armor charge whenever you collect a fire sprite. Fire sprites are going to basically be the solar equivalent to our current well system. This should just be very helpful for getting armor charges and also kind of tying together the fire sprite and armor charge system, as they seem to be moderately separate right now. And then finally, we're getting Volatile Flowback. The last time we had this mod was back in Season of the Risen, when Volatile was first introduced with Void 3.0. It's a very, very strong mod. If they don't nerf it in any way, it's going to be really interesting to see it kind of take over the same way that it did back in Season 16. For column 4, we have Bricks from Beyond. Defeating a powerful combatant with a void weapon has a chance to generate heavy ammo for you and your teammates. Doesn't sound like it's going to be quite as good as Lucent Finisher, but it definitely seems like, the chance to generate heavy ammo from any powerful combatant is going to be really strong, especially since a lot of void weapons are incredibly powerful right now. I'm looking at Typin, even with the nerf, Retrofit Escapade. A lot of exotic weapons are really good. Funnel Web is really good, so it should be really good for, just general play and also for high-end content. And then Flare Up, Firebolt grenades apply more scorch stacks. Damaging a combatant with a Firebolt grenade spawns a fire sprite near them. Obviously, creating a fire sprite is just useful. And then on top of that, applying more scorch stacks with your Firebolt grenade is also just incredibly useful. Especially since in the next season, Firebolt grenades are going to be able to, with more scorch stacks, ignite easier, and then be able to stun champions with that. Origin Hones, weapons with the 4 origin traits that I talked about earlier, are going to always be overcharged when that modifier is active. That's going to just help these weapons play a little bit better in the season. Allied Unraveling, rapid final blows with a strand weapon grant your weapon unraveling rounds with a longer duration near allies. We haven't actually seen everything that unraveling rounds do yet. We've seen a kind of brief overview of it in the strand trailer that they showed off, but I don't think we know exactly how they play. And we do know that there are going to be more strand weapons. I think it's 4 legendary strand weapons releasing, unlike in Stasis, where we only had 1 exotic and that was it. So we're going to have a lot more weapons to be using this buff going in with this new ability type. And then Counterweave. When you or a member of your fire team stuns or defeats a champion, you gain energy for your least charged strand ability. This is just helpful. I'm always a fan of any of the mods that are based off of you stunning or defeating a champion. I feel like they're quite good. And with Strand being the new subclass, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be using it, which means this will just be helpful. And then finally, in column 5, we have Stranded Reach. Destroying a tangle with a strand weapon creates a larger and more damaging explosion. This should pair incredibly well with that mod that we talked about earlier, Untangler, where destroying a tangle with a strand weapon suspends targets damaged by the explosion. By making that explosion larger, you're going to then be suspending more targets. Rain of Firebolts. When you have a Firebolt grenade equipped, you gain a second grenade charge. This is going to pair really well with Flare Up from column 4, where it's going to apply more scorch stacks, you're going to be able to create fire sprites more easily, and you're going to get 2 grenade charges just from having these 2 mods equipped. Void Weapons Channeling. You gain a temporary bonus to avoid weapon damage after you defeat a target with a void weapon, while at least one of your void abilities is fully charged. This damage bonus increases based on the number of fully charged abilities you have. I see this pairing well with a few very specific exotics. I could see it pairing well with Hoyle, but then also any of the exotic weapons or just even legendary weapons. And I can also see this pairing very well with Volatile Flow, just helping you kill more things with void weapons. Or Bricks from Beyond, again, killing more things easily with void weapons, making it more likely for you to be spawning heavy ammo. Medieval Champion is the one that I was talking about earlier. It makes your glaives be unstoppable, and it makes your swords deal with overload champions. Nothing else to talk about there, really. And then Prismatic Transfer is when you cast your super, each member of your fire team with a subclass damage type different than yours gains a bonus to weapon damage. This is going to be really interesting for damage phases and things like that. You can have one of everyone on your raid team being on a different subclass and just be able to give everyone in your fire team a bonus to weapon damage. If this stacks with other weapon damage bonuses, stuff like standing in a well of radiance and also getting this buff, this could be incredibly strong. Based off of these mods that we've seen so far, there's a few things that I'm incredibly interested in. Obviously, Strand always was going to be interesting with it being the new subclass releasing. And then looking at Stranded Reach, Allied Unraveling, and Untangler, there's going to be even more things just pairing with Strand to make it more interesting. Flare Up and Rain of Firebolts are going to both be really strong paired together, and I could see some solar builds coming out of this that actually work really well. And then finally, with Volatile Flowback and then Bricks from Beyond and Void Weapons Channeling, I can see some really, really cool Void builds coming out that just let you shred through ads. Then with Prismatic Transfer, combining them all together, it's going to make for some incredibly powerful builds where everyone in your raid group is running different energy type classes, and then being able to combine all of these really strong builds together into an even stronger build using Prismatic Transfer. Plus, I'm also kind of excited for some of these Unstoppable, Overload, and Barrier mods that we're getting. Obviously, we have other ways to deal with these champions now, some really interesting ones. They do mention Chill Clip later on in this TWAB, but, you know, I'm always a fan of Auto Rifle and SMG Overload. I'm always a fan of Bow Overload. Barrier Pulse and Barrier Sidearm both seem decent. Unstoppable Scout Rifles is pretty decent. And then Glaives and Swords is a little bit more questionable, but as someone who really does like Stronghold Swords, I am interested to see it actually be viable for dealing with Overload champions for once, because normally that's one of the things you struggle with the most. I'm definitely going to be looking at running a Void build next season. I just see no way around it with Volatile Flow coming back, but also it looks like Strand's going to be really fun as well, and I can definitely see some of the other classes pulling through some strong builds with some of these mods as well. I definitely want to see some of the other armor mods that they're introducing next season before I really settle on what I'm going to be liking the most, especially with stuff like Shatter Orbs kind of just being able to fit into any build, and most likely being incredibly powerful paired with any of these builds. I'm also really interested to see what some of these new origin traits are going to be doing for us, stuff like Noble Deeds and Nanotech Tracer rockets. They both seem like really interesting just based off of their name alone, and I'm sure one of them's most likely going to be the seasonal, and most likely one of them will be the raid origin traits. though it's also possible one of them is the new Muna origin trait. We've yet to see, but when that comes, I'm definitely going to be talking about those more. Anyways, I can't wait to be able to look through some of these next week and show off some builds using some of them, but until then, I've been Zadok Squared. Thanks for watching.